afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are at. We just started the webinar is live, so we're going to give everybody just a little bit just to make sure everybody's in on the connections and that the webinar room is open. So it looks like we have everybody pulled in. So thanks, Chloe, for taking care of that. Again, welcome to our webinar. Thank you for joining. I'm Colleen Schills, Director of Customer Success here at Crestwood Associates. I hope you're all excited to see what we have in our agenda today. I think we have a really great lineup and super excited to share it with you. At the end of the Velixo webinar, that is what we are going to be presenting today. We are going to have a guest speaker who will be joining us to tell us their story and journey on how Velixo has helped their organization with the reporting needs. So stay tuned. If for some reason you have to jump off early, that's okay. We're recording this and you'll get a copy of the recording so you can jump on in where you missed off. Just a couple of housekeeping items. Before we get started, everyone has been muted upon entry. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, please add them to the Q&A section in this Teams webinar, as Chloe and Alex will be monitoring it closely and be able to address it throughout the demonstration. And then again, at the end of the presentation, we will be addressing any additional questions that you might have. But before we get started, I wanted to give you a little more insight to Crestwood Associates for those of you who have not been exposed or introduced to us before. But at Crestwood, you know, one of the things that we do is we focus on our values here, and that is what we work hard to achieve every single day by working smart, having fun, and delivering results. And part of that is making sure that we're partnering with the right organizations in the ecosystem. So, you know, we have an extended technology stack here that at Crestwood that we work with. We work with two main ERP solutions, Acumatica as well as Business Central, but we're also a cloud service provider. So what does that allow us to do? Well, we can talk with you and work with you on licensing around Microsoft Dynamics 365. So the Office product line, Microsoft Copilot, we can do hosting in Microsoft Azure. We can provide data lake access for clients that need to be able to store legacy databases into the cloud. We have Power resources on the team at Crestwood, so we can work with you on Power Automate, Power BI, so different forms of licensing out there and solutions. So if you're not familiar with that, reach on out, let us know. I'm happy to have a further discussion with you on it, but just know that we can help provide more extensions into the ecosystem to give you more automation at your organization. So with that, I am going to turn this over to Hamza Kadri from Velixo. He's one of the account managers there, and he's going to walk us through all about Velixo and then take over on the demonstration. So Hamza, I'm turning it over to you.
Well, thanks for the intro, Colleen, and thanks for the opportunity to put Velixo in front of your customers. We appreciate the partnership. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so excited to have you all here, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. So as Colleen explained, I'm going to start by giving you a brief presentation of Velixo, so a little bit of history about the company, how it came to life. Right after that, it is going to be followed by a live demo of the tool, just for you to understand the dynamics behind it, to see how it connects to Acumatica, and especially for you to get a little feel of its capabilities. With that being said, let's kick it off. So essentially, what is Velixo? So Velixo is simply an Excel add-in that serves as a live and bidirectional connector between Acumatica and Excel. So in other words, it will empower you to effortlessly export in live all the data that lives in Acumatica, kind of perform your magic on Excel. Once it's done, you can seamlessly push that data back to Acumatica if necessary. For the little story, we were founded in 2017 by Gabriel Michaud, who is the next Acumatica leader, and he saw the opportunity to build Velixo as an Excel add-in because he witnessed that so many users kept going back to Excel for their reporting needs. Fast forward a couple of years, we were awarded Acumatica Top Application in the ecosystem, and we were consistently awarded users most likely to recommend by G2. We now serve thousands of customers globally thanks to a distributed team, as you can see on the map. We work with over 200 VARs, and last year only we were able to onboard more than 700 new customers from the Acumatica ecosystem alone. Next slide, please. So what is the problem that we solve? Well, we solve the problem with manual spreadsheets. And the problem with manual spreadsheets resolves a few issues. Well, first thing first, it's a completely disconnected experience. The second you export the data to Excel, it becomes obsolete. And for that reason, it cannot be trusted anymore. And again, for the same reason, building reports or maintaining reports becomes repetitive and time-consuming. And on top of that, it's also incredibly error-prone, and governance issues can happen. And lastly, changes made to that data in Excel can only be written back to Acumatica by manually entering it, which is highly inefficient. Next slide, please. And here's the solution to the problem with the manual spreadsheet. It's Velixo, of course. So with our Excel add-in, okay, it can be installed from Excel, and it can be configured to connect to Acumatica within minutes. I'll walk you through the installation process in a second. It offers real-time reporting experience with full Excel exploration capabilities. And on top of that, it comes with samples to get you started. It allows you to write data back to Acumatica for scenarios like budgeting, forecasting, automation of business processes, journal transactions, does not matter. It's fully self-service, and it won't require much training to master it, thanks to its Excel-like functions. And lastly, it's Excel. So users benefit from the entire Microsoft 365 ecosystem for a better collaboration and automation overall. And next slide, please. So just to close off the PowerPoint deck, this is a slide of some of our happy customers. As you can see, we're industry agnostic, meaning we can be used in different types of businesses and various industries. Something that I always like to bring up, I don't know if we have any fans in the audience, but KFC was actually our first customer. So with that being said, let's close this off and take it to a live demo. So I'll start screen sharing in a minute. You can let me know when it's good. I'll watch out for your thumbs up. Perfect. So we're going to be in for a, I would say, 15 to 20-minute demo, okay? While I'm moving along with the presentation, please do not hesitate to input your questions in the chat. Alex from my team and Colleen from Crestwood will be answering your questions while I'm moving along with the presentation. If it's something that needs to be showcased on the screen, do not worry about it. We'll be sure to address questions during the Q&A section post the demo. So I am now on Excel, okay? First thing I'll show you is how to get Velixo going on your devices. Well, as it's simply an Excel add-in, there's no implementation required, okay? To get it going, you can simply use the little add-in section from on your Excel homepage and use the search bar to look for Velixo. Once you've found it, you can simply click on Add, and it is going to be good to go. So again, the process is very swift and easy, and it looks like adding any other Chrome extension to your browser. I'm thinking about a pop-up blocker right now. So once you've done that, you'll notice this new Velixo icon here on your home screen, as well as this new Velixo tab here on the ribbon. So if I click on the tab, you'll notice that we've added multiple features to Excel and about 90 Velixo formulas. So I'll walk you through the refresh process. The connection manager, we're going to use this in a second. This is what essentially sets up the connection between Acumatica and Excel. We're going to use the drill down functionality. This will allow you to click on any given cell on any given sheet and go back to the source transaction page in Acumatica. We're going to look at distribution list. It will allow you to distribute either internally or externally your reports from a single template. In between, we're going to look at how to use the GI formula, so generic increase. And lastly, we'll look at writebacks. So there are 4 different types of writebacks, and I'll briefly explain every single one of them. So to get started, we're going to build a relatively simple trial balance, again, just for you to get the dynamics behind the tool and see where the formulas live and so on and so on. So first thing we're going to need to do is connect Acumatica with Excel. So for that, I'll use the connection manager right here up top. So if I click on it, it opens up the connection manager pane on my right. I'm already connected, but I'll walk you through the process. So I'll click on the pen to edit it. And you'll notice that the first thing that shows up is the name. So essentially, it's prompting me to pick a name for my connection. Always try to keep this one short because you're going to have to reference it in the Velixo formulas. It's going to make a little bit more sense in 30 seconds. So in this case, I'll name it demo. Next, you're going to need your Acumatica URL and your tenant, which you can simply copy and paste from your login page. So here's your URL, and then you can choose your tenant from here. So in my demo instance, I do have multiple tenants. I am going to start by connecting the first one, company. So I'll input my tenant, my URL and my tenant. And in here, I'll input my Acumatica credentials. And it's built this way because we're going to automatically mirror the exact same level of security set up in your ERP. So you don't have to worry about data governance and users seeing data that they're not allowed to see. And connect. Now, of course, if you use SSO internally, you can simply click on sign in with Acumatica. Now, you probably see it coming, but if I just connected my first tenant company, okay, and I do have other tenants, it is 100% possible for me to go ahead and add multiple other connections. So I can simply click on add, reference the same URL, and connect my other tenants. So if I need to consolidate multiple tenants, absolutely feasible. You can pull data from multiple tenants simultaneously and push back data to multiple tenants simultaneously. Now, let's go ahead and build our trial balance. As you can see, I got a little template ready. First thing we're going to need to do is pull our chart of accounts. So for that, I'm going to use one of the 9 Velixo formulas that we've put into a button right here called insert chart of accounts and insert. Now, if you look at the formula box, this is the formula we're currently running. Expand account range from my demo instance. If you remember, I named the connection demo earlier. Now, to pull the account names, I'm going to use another Velixo formula, which is called account name. And while we're building this trial balance, you'll notice that all our formulas are first thing first Excel formulas. And they're pretty straightforward. So when I'm trying to pull, for example, my account name, the formula is called account name. In a minute, we're going to pull the balance. The formula is going to be called either account beginning balance or account ending balance, and so on and so on. And same as for Excel, every time you're using one of the Velixo formulas, you're going to have this little window help that pops up. So this kind of acts as your coach here, prompting you to input your next step. So I just inputted my connection name. Now I'll have to specify my account code. For this example, let's just go ahead and specify the whole set. And there you go. Another important piece is that for all of the reports that you're going to build on Excel using Velixo, it will always showcase dynamic information. What I mean by that is that let's say I go back to Acumatica, okay? And let's not do it just to save some time, but let's say I change one of my account names here in my general ledger accounts. As soon as I come back to my workbook, and I use the refresh functionality right here up top, the name change will reflect right away. As you can see, you have the ability to refresh one report at a time. You can refresh your entire workbook, or you can refresh multiple workbooks all open at the same time. So again, the idea of having dynamic reports with this refresh functionality is for you to build reports one time, and moving forward, that report becomes a template that you update with the most recent data from Acumatica. Now, let's go ahead and pull our balance. So I'll do account ending balance. And from here, I'll follow my coach's instruction again. So my connection name, demo. I'll specify my ledger. I'm going to skip account class and specify my account code. I could refine by sub-account, by branch, but just to keep the example short, I'll stick to the essentials and I'll specify my financial period. And there you go. Now I'll quickly format this to dollar and transpose it in my array. So essentially, if you would like to have help regarding any of the formulas, okay, you can simply click on the hyperlink right here. And it will open our knowledge base for you. So on our knowledge base, you will find a detailed explanation for every single formula. So syntax, parameters, which one are required, which one are optional. As you can see, for example, here in this example, I click back on the formula. Let me just switch this here. So if I click on my formula, you'll notice that, for example, in here, we've skipped subaccount, branch, and account class. And if I look at my cheat sheet, these are optional parameters. And of course, you'll have 2 to 3 examples to help you pick it up a little bit faster. Now, my bad, I'll quickly correct this formula here. This way we can move with a clean report. So, demo, ledger, and financial period. All right, perfect. Now, let's say from here, I would like to compare 2 different ledgers or 2 different financial periods. All I need to do is copy and paste my formulas to the side. Now, I can change, for example, let's compare the actual versus budget. I can simply change my parameters. And as you can see, my report updates in real time. Same thing applies to my financial period. Let's say I want to compare 2 different years. Well, there you go. And of course, you can set up ledgers in a drop-down list. You can set up financial periods in a drop-down list. I'll show it to you in one of the templates that we've built already. Now from here, let's say I want to know the variance. Well, I can simply use a very simple Excel formula, which is this cell minus this cell. But the idea here is just to highlight that all of the Excel formulas will continue working perfectly fine. So one last thing that I want to show you here before we move on to the next piece is a nice little way we've came up with for you to group your accounts. So essentially what I did right now is that I just copied and pasted my formulas here, okay? Now, I want to pull data to a specific list of accounts. So let's say I want to pull the data for my account 10100. I can do 1100, and let's go a little bit further, 15300. There you go. You can also prompt it to do a range, not necessarily a list. So from 10100 up to 15300. There you go. And you can also use what we call wildcard. So let's say you want all of the accounts starting with 11. Then you'll simply need to complete the number of digits with question mark. And there you go. And of course, you have the option to exclude as well. So let's say you don't want 11500, simply type in minus 11500. So if you have any questions so far, please go ahead and input them in the chat. We'll be sure to address the questions in the Q&A session. By the way, this sample pack that I have open right now, it has a standard P&L, again, built in a dynamic fashion. I'll get back to it. It has a consolidated P&L built that showcases essentially branches side by side, a trailing one that showcases financial periods side by side, a dashboard, just to remind you that you can have your Acumatica dashboard update based off the Excel data. It has a cash flow statement, a proper trial balance, well, a couple of financial statements. This sample pack, you can find it on the same knowledge base I referred to earlier, where you can find help regarding the formulas. So all you need to do is click on the Acumatica space and browse the knowledge base to go to the template space. And in here, you'll find a bunch of free templates to get you started or use them simply for inspiration. That same file I'm using right now is available on the knowledge base. So again, if I use the little drop-down list in here to toggle between my branches, I can toggle, for example, from the consolidated view to go ahead and pick a specific branch, and it will update my P&L in real time with truncating it, so hiding the 0 rows. Let's go back to the consolidated view. If I click on the little plus right here to unhide the structure, all the filters behind this P&L, you'll notice that to pull our revenue, we've listed our sales account classes in here. So this is essentially what I did here in the line 6, listing accounts. In here, we'll simply listing account classes instead of listing accounts. To pull our cost of goods sold, we've used the wildcard technique. And to pull our operating expenses, we've simply listed the individual account classes. Now, what I want to show you here is the drill down feature. So let's say you want to know what is this number made of, your total expenses. You can simply click on the cell and then click on drill down. And what it is going to do, it will open a new sheet for you, listing all the transactions involved in this number. By the way, this functionality will work on all types of reports, not necessarily a financial report. So if you do it on project reports, it will work perfectly as well, fine as well. So on this sheet, you already have a good picture. So you can check, for example, description, to which branch this is assigned. You also have a little more in the numbers view, and you can even dig further. So let's say, for example, you want to know what is this transaction for. Well, I can see that this is a travel expense, but by clicking on view transactions here on my left, it is going to open Acumatica for me on the actual transaction page. There you go. Now, on my Excel sheet, I was seeing that it was a travel expense. Now I can see that it's a night at the Hilton. And from here, it's Acumatica, so you probably know about it, but you can dig even further. So if you click on reference number, you're going to be able to go ahead and open the actual invoice for that transaction. So if you have any questions regarding drill down, please go ahead and input them in the chat. We'll be sure to address them. This is a pretty powerful feature for consolidation between multi-companies, for example, or for project management. So next piece is the distribution list. So let's say you are now ready to distribute reports either internally or externally again. You can simply click on New List up top, and it will populate this exact template for you. We're going to use this one just because it's already filled out for the sake of this example. So from this template, you can choose under which format you want to share your report. So Excel, you can choose to remove the Velixo formulas in case you're sharing with somebody that does not have access to Velixo. You can choose to remove all formulas, including Excel ones, or simply share it under a PDF format. If you tick none, it will simply input a screenshot of that report under the email body, and I'll be sure to show you how the email looks like as well. Column D, file name, is self-explanatory. You will simply need to pick a name for that report. Tab selection, you will simply need to select which sheets, or in other words, which reports from this workbook you would like to share with this contact, because of course you are not forced to share your whole workbook. Folder path, if you're using a cloud saving solution, simply input the folder path in here and it is going to save it into that space. And from here, it gets relatively simple. So email, contact, subject, body, and you're good to go. Of course, if you're sharing the same report with multiple contacts, no need to create a separate line for every single one of them. All you need to do is separate emails with a semicolon in here. And let's assume now everything is ready. You can click on distribute all right here, and it is going to kick off the distribution process. I currently have the email delivery option under Save to Draft, so it will save them under my Outlook drafts. And if we look at my drafts, as you can see, the email contact's already in the right spot, email subject as well, email bodies in here, the attachment is here under the right format, same thing for Jenny, who will receive it under a PDF format, same thing for David, and so on and so on. Now, there's a lot more to the distribution list. For example, automating the distribution feature using Task Scheduling Manager. I don't know, let's say you're sharing with your sales team a sales report on a weekly basis. Well, you can have it automated using Task Scheduling Manager. And if I go back to my email delivery options, if I would simply like to avoid going to my drafts and then individually pressing the send button, I can simply tick it under send immediately right here. So if you have any questions or any ideas regarding the distribution list, please go ahead and input your questions in the chat. Now, we're going to look at how to report on generic inquiries. So essentially, what I am going to do right now would translate to reporting on any of the modules that live in Acumatica, except for the finance module and the project module. So for the finance module, you're going to use the financial formulas that we've used earlier in the trial balance. So the expand account range, account names, account ending balance, account turnover, and so on and so on. For project module, you're going to use the project functions. And for any other module, such as inventory, sales orders, you will use the GI formulas. That stands for generic inquiry. In other words, any module that you click on and you're able to spot the little Velixo button right here, you're going to be able to do what I'm going to do right now. And by the way, this Velixo button right here is simply a shortcut to the formula I'm going to input manually in Excel. If you don't have this Velixo button in your Acumatica, it's something that comes up quite often. Do not worry about it. You can get it easily. You'll simply need to download customization packages, and we can walk you through the process, no problem at all. So let's do it with AP bills. So I'll go to payables, bills and adjustments. And again, there you go. On my AP bills, I have the Velixo button again. Edit generic inquiry. I'm not going to edit anything on Acumatica. I am simply trying to copy my inquiry title. And my apologies, it's a bit freezed right now on the Acumatica side, so I'll refresh it. All right, perfect. So I am going to essentially need my inquiry title right here to reference in my formula. And let's view the inquiry. So back to Excel. Now I'll do GI, and again, I'll follow the coach's instructions. So the connection name, if you remember, demo, and now the name of my generic inquiry. And there you go. Now, essentially what it will do, it will export all of these columns that live in this generic inquiry right here to Excel. There you go, okay? Now, of course, for reporting purposes, you won't need all of these columns, and that's probably why you're exporting it to Excel, right? So all you need to do here, or I should say, instead of going and manually deleting the columns that you don't need from Excel, okay, which is going to make you lose the dynamic aspect of reports, well, you can dynamically select which columns you want to pull from Acumatica by editing the formula. So I'll go back to my formula box and I'll select what I want to keep. So I would like to have my vendor column, my currency column, and status. There you go. And as you can see, it erased all of the columns and pulled these 3 columns from scratch. Now, you can filter through this information as well. For example, I have all my vendors, the transactions under all of the currencies, under all of the statuses. I can filter through this information dynamically using a Velixo formula, again, rather than using the little or the basic sort and filter from Excel. This is an important piece, again, because this is what keeps the dynamic aspect of the reports, or in other words, allows you to keep it as a template. So let's say I only want to have my transit vendor and the transactions under an open status. So I'll come here again and I'll do GI, and you'll notice we have GI filter, we have GI lookup, and so on and so on. For this example, let's use GI filter. So again, I'll do my connection name, my GI name, and I'll specify my criteria. So I want vendor to be equal to whatever is in this cell, and status to be equal to whatever is in this cell. There you go. Now my filter is ready. If I go back to my initial formula right here, you'll notice I left a blank space between the 2 commas right here. If I click on it, well, my coach says it's the spot to input my filter. There you go. All right. And of course, if I change my parameters, my report updates in real time. And same as we did for the P&L in here, where you can toggle between branches. You can, of course, have your vendors in a drop-down list and toggle in between them. You can have your customers in a drop-down list and toggle in between them. So that's the idea here, is that you can go as granular as you want. If you have any questions regarding GI formulas, please go ahead and input them in the chat. If you'd like to see more examples regarding it, for example, on how to build inventory turnover reports, how to leverage the GI formulas, to start using Excel and Velixo as a CPQ tool, so as a coding tool, just let me know in the chat and I'll be sure to show it to you in the Q&A session. Now, let's close it off with the writebacks. So there are 4 different types of writebacks, and I'll walk you through every single one. So essentially, writebacks allow you to write data back to Acumatica. You can write back journal transactions, you can write back budgets, you can write back project regression, and universal writeback essentially translates to generic writeback. So you can use the generic inquiry formulas to pull anything from Acumatica, and you can use universal writeback to push back anything to Acumatica. Let's look at the first one, journal transactions. So if I click on it, it opens up this exact template for me. Okay, this template is 100% customizable to match your own needs. For the sake of this example, we're going to run this one that we've customized for a customer. So I know the 2 templates look a bit different, so I'll explain the structure behind this feature. For now, let's forget about this table right here. We'll look at the blue boxes only. So on the blue boxes, you have essential parameters for Velixo to understand or to assess where it's writing back to in Acumatica. So your connection name, post period, description, to which branch, under which ledger, currency, and so on and so on. Now, if you look at the example that we've customized, here are the blue boxes. They are just outlined in a different manner. Now, if you look at the table, you've got your branch column, account, sub-account. If you work with project accounting, then you've got project pass, cost code, and so on and so on, and your debit and credit columns. This example was obviously not a project customer, so here are branch, account, sub-account, debit, and credit. Now from here, let's assume my GL rate is not 3.3, maybe it's 8.8. I can change it. And now from here, I want to push back these journal entries back to Acumatica. So I'll click on Perform Writeback right here up top for the current sheet. And it is going to take under 10 seconds for this to be pushed back to Acumatica. There you go. And it automatically pops up the page of my journal transactions, prompting me to revise everything that I'm pushing back. So essentially, go over your figures again. If everything makes sense, if this is under the right branch, numbers make sense, then you can simply click on Remove Hold and Release. As soon as you click on Release, this is being posted to Acumatica or saved into Acumatica. Now, budget works with the same dynamics. Okay, if I click on it, it opens up a template that you can customize. Here's one, again, that we've customized for a customer. It has the little blue box concept to understand where it's writing back to in Acumatica. And table is going to be customizable to match whatever you're budgeting on. So payroll, labor hours, machinery hours, cash flow forecasting does not matter, okay? But the idea is that you're going to be able to pull dynamically all your prior year actuals data from Acumatica. Then you can go ahead and set up some what-if scenarios combining the Velixo along with the Excel formulas. And it is going to allow you to make calculations or budget on your upcoming periods. And once this is ready, again, click on Perform Writeback to push back to Acumatica. If you want to look at it from Acumatica, if I click on the Finance module, okay, so Journal Writeback will write back to journal transactions, so this page, and Budget Writeback will write back to the page right next to it, so budgets right here. There you go. And the parameters with the stars are essentially our blue box right here. Now, before having your budgets there, you will need to go through the same process of releasing them from Acumatica, which is going to be right here on Release Budgets. And from here, I can tick which budget I want to release and click on it to save it into my budgets page. Now, project forecast works again with the same dynamics. Let's just skip it. If you want to see it in more detail, just let me know and we can go over it. And last piece is the universal writeback. So universal writeback works under a different structure because this one essentially allows you to write back to any of the modules right here, even the sales order module. So if I click on it, it is going to prompt me to choose an import scenario. So as you can see, you can write back bombs, you can write back GL transactions, you can write back project income, vendors, um, you can write back literally anything, time activities, stock items, does not matter. And if you're looking to work with an import scenario that you still haven't created or you don't have it, well, you can simply go ahead and create one. The process is relatively easy. I won't speak on it too much because this is Colleen will probably be much more relevant than me at explaining how it could be done. I've actually done it in the past during a demo. As you can see, this one is called Import Client Hamza. It took me under 10 minutes, but of course it was not built to last. It was just for the sake of the demo. So I am going to stop it off here and back to you, Colleen. And I'll take a quick look at the Q&A and chat in the meantime.
That's great. Thanks, Hamza. It was really insightful to see all the different things that Velixo can do. And I think right now what we're noticing in the Acumatica ecosystem is that clients want to have control over what data and what transactions they're putting in the system. And so, with that, I'm super excited to introduce everybody to Brent Driessen, corporate accountant at Green Bay Packaging. Green Bay has been a Acumatica Crestwood client for several years now, and they are a very intense, very data-driven organization using Velixo. And Brent offered to come and speak at our webinar today. So thank you very much, Brent, for that. So I'm going to let you do a little introduction of yourself and just give us a little bit of the lay of the land on how you guys are using Velixo today, if you don't mind.
Sure, sounds good. Thanks for having me. So my name is Brent Driessen. I'm a senior accountant here at Green Bay Packaging. I've been with the company about 6 years, and I work at the corporate office. Primary responsibilities for myself would be financial reporting, maintenance on them, and then there's some corporate activities like insurance, debt, and things like that that I also handle. But over the last few years, the biggest thing has been financial reporting as we've gone through a system change. So I'll get into that a little bit more as I go on here. So a little bit about Green Bay Packaging. It's a family-owned company. It was founded in 1933, and its headquarters are here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we have 40 locations scattered around the United States. You can kind of see that on the map there on the screen. So we are primarily a packaging company. So we make corrugated boxes, we make folding carton, we make coated labels. But it's something that's unique and pretty cool about us is that we're integrated and that we control multiple phases of the production process. So we also have timberlands mostly in Arkansas. We manage over 450,000 acres, some owned, some leased. And so we harvest the trees and we sell lumber with the good inside piece of the trees. And then we use the pulp to feed one of our mills. So I'll kind of go through our different businesses here. So we have a mill in Arkansas that we feed the pulp from our timberlands. And then we also have a mill up in Green Bay here that we use recycled board for. And then both of those mills then feed our corrugated plants and our sheet plants. So it kind of gives you an idea that we have a lot of different kind of businesses we do. And if you think about from our side, a lot of different report needs that we have as well. Just to give you an idea of size, last year, I think we did about $2.5 billion in sales. And again, to get an idea of the differences between our divisions, a mill might do 50 million in a month and a division may do less than $1 million in a month. So wide range of dollars as well. So now I'll talk a little bit about our systems and the ERP journey that we've been on over the past few years. So, and kind of how Velixo came into that. So the story price starts with when I started, but we, for many years, were on a system called Millennium. It was a mainframe system. If you could picture a black screen with green type, and you have to kind of tab around on the screen to get around, that is what they were using when I started about 6 years ago. Um, so I think they started using it in the 90s. So you can imagine that there's a lot of customizations built in, a lot of integrations, and a lot of reports that were built. And they kept it going because I guess they had good IT people that could support it. But eventually, it was that they were told that I don't remember what the exact cutoff date, but they were going to stop supporting Millennium. So that was kind of the last straw to say, I guess we have to move on, which I think it probably was time. So our cutover, we did it in phases. We started in about, I think 2020. I think end of 2020 is when our first cutover was. And that was our corporate division. And then we did a cutover maybe a year later, which was just AR. And then we did GL and AP. And then kind of our last ones were just kind of finished up within the last year or so, which was we just called them our trial balance divisions. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. As you can imagine, there were definitely reporting challenges throughout the entire time. But we managed to deal with them, and obviously Velixo is a big piece of that. So as we were transitioning over, we decided that our standard financial reports were going to be in Acumatica, but right away from the beginning, we knew that Velixo was a perfect tool to kind of do the catch-all for all of the other reports that came up as we kind of sifted through the hundreds and hundreds of pages of reports that were coming out of Millennium on a monthly basis. So I'll get into some of the specific examples of some of the reports that we use. The first group, I'll call them groups of reports, is kind of what I'll call like template reports. So like I said, we have like 40 divisions or so, probably more if you count the corporate ones, but I'm calling them template ones because these are reports that any of the divisions can basically drop their division in, and the report will work for them. Hamza kind of gave a good example of kind of the one that was the first easy one, which is just dropping the trial balance. So the example was, so in Acumatica, there's a trial balance report, but it only shows the beginning balance. So you put in a period and it shows you beginning balance, I think debits, credits, and then ending. Our divisions, and a lot of people are used to seeing either prior month or prior year. And that was not out of the box. So a perfect, easy example of a Velixo fix was to create that trial balance report. We put a few other ones. Hamza put in like the variance, but I think we put in a few other things like percent change and maybe brought back a little bit more history. But we saved that, and then a couple other reports. We started a SharePoint. We have a SharePoint site that we put a lot of our accounting documents on. So we had a folder in there for Velixo, that kind of these templates. And this was one that we saved out there. Another one was AP detail. So as I talk a little bit more about Millennium, people were used to getting these kind of system-driven reports at month end, right? So they would say, well, at the end of every month, I get this AP detail report. So we're like, all right, well, we can replicate that. And it was also similar to the generic inquiry connection that Hamza created, where you go to, this one was actually the AP line item details, because they wanted to see the vendor, the account, the GL account that it went to. So maybe this might have been a custom GI that we have, and then the dollar amount and stuff like that. So we created a template for that, and we saved 5 or 6 similar to this out onto our SharePoint site that the divisions could go out. They could save as their own and modify if they want to just do a filter to just bring back certain GL accounts. They could do that. So, and then use the distribution tool, which is also a really a nice thing that I use for even non-Velixo reports. Just the fact that you have the Velixo add-in, you can use that distribution tool, which I really like. So that was kind of the first group, those template ones, which are really nice to kind of leverage. You could see how quickly you could build a trial balance and put a few fun things in and have multiple divisions be able to use it without having to have any customizations. So now I'll talk. There were a lot of specific reports, but I'll talk about a few here. Most of the specific ones are going to be where we connect to a generic inquiry. So one of them was for our lumber division. So they had a report that they did. It was called Sales Product by Product Code. And it would report their like their board feet and the size. So they sell like 2x4s, 2x6s, and a whole bunch of different sizes of boards. And those are also, there's also grades on them, like a 1, 2, 3, or 4. Like a 1 is really good. That means maybe it's made, you could use it for furniture or something like that. But so that you can decipher the size, like the 2x4, or the grade, all by the sales code. And the sales code comes in through, so we do integrations to pull their sales in, and that shows up on our, what we call the sales analysis data generic inquiry. So we were able to connect to the sales analysis data generic inquiry to populate this report. So this report, this is again our lumber division. So she used to, at the end of each month, she would wait till Millennium would close, and she would get a report that, like a PDF, and she would take the numbers from it and punch it into an Excel spreadsheet to kind of summarize the data for the month. And we were able to take her exact spreadsheet that she used and hard coded in, or hand keyed in, and we were able to connect to the generic inquiry using some different sum ifs and pulling the data automatically. So now when she updates it each month, she just has to change the period. So definitely a time saver. She was definitely happy about that one. So there's other similar ones. There's another one called the Fiber Box report that we do. We are a part of the Fiber Box Association, and with that, there's some reporting requirements that we have to do, where we basically tell them so for our converting divisions, it's between 12 and 15 of our divisions, I think, that sell. They have to say if it's going to an external customer, if that customer is part of the Fiber Box Association, or if it's intercompany. And this is where I'm actually using two different generic inquiries. So you've got the sales data, and then you have customer data. Now you could link them in Acumatica likely, but I used basically a VLOOKUP to kind of essentially connect the two tables together, and we can determine all the pieces that we need for this Fiberbox reporting that we do each month. And it's updates for all of our divisions, and then I've got a distribution tool or tab that sends it to all the controllers. So basically, I have to update the period. I do a quick little look through to make sure everything looks like it's populating. But it takes minutes to update, and it sends out on its own with that tool. So that was another good one that, to create something like that in Acumatica, I think would have taken some customization, and we probably would have had to use more consulting time, stuff like that. So it's nice to have it here. And with it being, with us, I feel like it's very flexible if we need to change it. It's in Excel, so I feel very comfortable with that to maintain that. All right, one more kind of example of a report that we created. So our last wave of go lives is what we call the trial balance cutover. So it was over a span of over a few months. But basically, when I say trial balance, so these companies, for the most part, were companies that we had acquired in the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years, and we never brought them on to Acumatica. So into Millennium. So at the end of each month, they would send us an Excel trial balance or tab file, whatever it was, and we would send it through a cross-reference because they had their own chart of accounts, and we would upload that into Millennium for our consolidated reporting. So we didn't really want to bring them onto Millennium, but when we came on to Acumatica, we had, it almost seemed like they would have been taking a step backwards with the Millennium system. So with Acumatica, we decided to get them on our system as well. So there was, in their cutover, they had to, we did a transition from their old chart of accounts on their system to our new chart of accounts. And there definitely were some controllers that were very concerned about how the reporting was going to look, if they're going to lose some of that history. So this one, it felt like there was a decent amount riding on it, but they were, with the end result, they were very happy. So most of their reports kind of were driven the same. So it would be an Excel document. You have a data tab that basically has like a list of your GL accounts, then your account names, and then likely like a category that those accounts might fall in, and then the history that kind of builds with it. So that had all of their kind of legacy old chart of accounts data in it. And when they came onto Acumatica, really all that we had to do was insert a column to bring in the new Acumatica GL accounts and put in the either if it was a balance sheet account, we put in like the ending balance formula or a turnover account for the income statement side. And for the most part, these formulas just populated the rest of their spreadsheets. So, I mean, it was a very quick fix, and the controllers and GMs were very happy. So I made a few friends with this one because none of the reporting changed. All of the formatting looked exactly the same. So they were all very happy with that, and I think it was easier for them to update each month end with the Acumatica formulas because they just basically had to just slide in a new month, and everything else just kind of pulled right in. So that was definitely a win, and the controllers were definitely happy with that. So I think that's it for examples. So I guess in summary, I mean, I like Velixo because it's super easy to use. I like Excel, so I feel comfortable in it, and I feel like you don't need to have any like crazy coding experience, even with just a little bit of Excel knowledge. I mean, I use VLOOKUPs and SUMIFs, and that if you can do those, you can pretty much build some really cool reports. So I'm definitely happy with the ease of use because we didn't need to get consultants involved. You know, we could build it right here, and that makes it very easy for maintenance as well. The other part is just flexibility. You know, the idea of being able to create one report that multiple divisions can use and kind of make their own. We kind of give them the template, and then they can kind of do what they want with it. That's a great piece. And then the time saver of just there's a lot of things now that with Millennium, there's all these PDFs and people are hand typing things in. A lot of those, if they're pulling from the GL or even some of that sales data or AP data, we can automate that, saving time and really accuracy as well. So, I mean, Velixo was a huge part of the cutover. I think, I'm happy that they were chosen as what we were going to use for this kind of tool to use between Acumatica and kind of our other report needs. So, and I'm just excited to keep using them as we go forward.
That's awesome. That's really an exciting story. I mean, it really sounds like Velixo helped you with so many other areas when you think about it. Like I heard you use it for change management and for, onboarding, new divisions. And so it became more of just than an Excel spreadsheet for you guys. So I think that's really, really, really cool that you guys were able to embed it in the organization like that. Does Green Bay have any plans with Velixo for the future? Like, what are your plans? I mean, are you guys going to add in some new things?
Yeah, for sure. So there's definitely reports that we will continue using. We don't plan on moving. We moved some things the things that are in Acumatica are staying there, but we have certain reports that we're going to continue using, and I love the distribution tool. And then some of the other things I want to do going forward, I'd say would be. So I think to some of our controllers, when we went live, they were a bit overwhelmed with we got a new system with Acumatica. So some of them didn't take too much time to try to really, I mean, they would use the trial balance and stuff like that, but never really kind of try to take it to that next step, I think. So I think pushing our users to take it to that next step, connect to a generic inquiry, things like that would be in the near future as we are kind of finally done with our cutover, I think, unless we acquire more companies. So I think we're going to push towards that. And then the other piece, which Hamza alluded to a little bit there, was the write-backs. So we don't really use the write-backs a lot. I think the journal entry one seems really easy. I know with some of the flexibility there, you can do some AP stuff. We're getting more into budgets right now too, which we really hardly used at all in our old system. So that's another spot too where I think we'll be able to leverage Velixo a lot going forward.
That's awesome. Wow, that's a lot. And I, really appreciate, Brent, you taking the time out of your day to, talk through Velixo with the group that's attending and being part of, the ecosystem within Acumatica and Crestwood, and just really appreciate your time today. Thank you so very much for that.
No problem.
So, Hamza, I think we've had a really, really great session. I think the webinar went well. I think the demo went well. We've had a couple of questions that have come through the Q&A. If anybody has any more that they'd like to throw out there. But just to read off a couple that were in the queues in case anybody has not had an opportunity to look at it. But one of the questions was, does the Excel add-in require a native login, or can we use our Microsoft Azure single sign-on? The answer is yes. So Velixo does support it. So if you're interested in wanting to initiate that and execute it, let us know. Crestwood can help with that. Can Velixo be used to apply cash payments to multiple accounts simultaneously? And, Velixo has worked with other clients on this in the past. So, happy to connect with those clients that have an interest there. We can bring Velixo and Crestwood into the conversation to be able to explore those. Another one is, can we distribute the reports directly to the company's SharePoint folders? And the answer is yes, you can. So if you're using SharePoint and you'd like help getting the Velixo reports posted there, let us know. Happy to help. If you're not using SharePoint, Crestwood has a team of people on the Microsoft side and the cloud side that would be able to help you get SharePoint set up. And then we can add in the Velixo piece for you as well. And then the last question that I see there is, does Velixo have any support for refreshing the data into Excel and send the reports via distribution lists automatically and add on schedules? So the automatic distribution that is built into Velixo can be achieved with Outlook native functionality. And then for the refresh, the recipient would just have the ability to refresh the data, as how Hamza showed us during the demo. So some really great questions out there. I haven't seen any more come through since then, but if you have anything, definitely let us know. We're more than happy to take it up the chain and get Velixo involved if needed, or one of our consultants on the crew. So last question that just came in real quick, I'll read it off. Can Velixo be used to upload budgets? And the answer is yes, using the write back, which Hamza showed. So if you need assistance with that, let us know. See, look at that, Hamza. I'm getting to be an Velixo expert after this.
Well, just to piggyback on what Driessen said earlier, if you know how to Excel, you know how to Velixo. And it just takes a very small presentation like this for you to start picking up the tool already. So yeah, love to see it.
Yeah, super exciting. Well, Hamza, thank you so much for your time as well. Appreciate the support that you and Alex have shown us today and working with our clients and supporting Crestwood through this journey. So if anybody on this call has any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or any of our customer success managers on the team. We're happy to help, but we really appreciate everybody joining today. Hope you are walking away with one little nugget that you learned, and I appreciate that. And have a great week, everybody. Take care.